The chaos in your life isn't out there. It doesn't start with your messy schedule or your overflowing to-do list or your phone notifications. It starts inside you, in your mind. You move through the day surrounded by thousands of scattered thoughts, half-finished worries, random ideas, things you should be doing, and somewhere in that noise, you lose track of what actually matters. By the end of the day, you're exhausted, but somehow nothing real got done. Does this sound familiar? You start things, you just don't finish them. Today, we're not going to talk about willpower or motivation. We're going to look at real data and real science to show you exactly how to clean up the noise inside your mind, so your outside life can finally follow. Let's start with the numbers, because this isn't just a feeling, it's measurable. In a survey of 893 people, the majority pointed to one single culprit that was completely destroying their focus: overthinking. Not lack of time, not lack of goals. Overthinking, the endless internal replay of worries, decisions, and what-ifs that never actually leads anywhere. And here's the second half of the problem. In a separate survey of 921 students, the answer to what steals the most time from you was almost unanimous: endless scrolling. Think about what's actually happening here. Your brain is constantly being fed cheap, fast information, a notification, a video, a thought spiraling into another thought, and it never gets a moment of quiet. This is what we call mental noise. And mental noise doesn't just waste time. It blocks you from the one or two things that would actually move your life forward. You can have the best to-do list in the world, but if your mind is this loud, you'll never hear the task that actually matters over the noise. So before we talk about building new habits, we have to talk about clearing space for them first. If you want to organize your life, the first move isn't a planner. It's clearing the mental clutter your brain is currently drowning in. The full dopamine detox protocol. Stop feeding your brain random short-form videos, endless notifications, and mindless scrolling. Let yourself be bored for a while. I know that sounds uncomfortable. Almost nobody tolerates boredom anymore. But boredom is not empty time. It's the space where your brain finally gets to process, organize, and think clearly again. When you constantly interrupt your mind with cheap stimulation, it never gets the chance to sort through what's actually important. You're not resting. When you scroll, you're loading in more noise. Real rest, the kind that actually resets your focus, looks boring on the outside. A walk without your phone. 10 minutes of silence. Staring at a wall, genuinely, without needing a screen to fill the gap. The 7 hard truths. Here's the uncomfortable part. Your time is not infinite. Every hour you spend numbing your mind with noise is an hour you're not getting back. If you don't take control of your thoughts right now, these small daily habits, the tiny scrolling sessions, the unfinished worries, the constant mental multitasking, will quietly erase the future you say you want. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because the moment you accept this truth, you can finally start doing something about it. Once your mind has some space cleared, it's time to put something useful into that space. And this doesn't require a total life revolution. It requires small, consistent, almost boringly simple habits. You don't need 10 dramatic changes. You need 10 tiny habits that quietly rebuild your life, one repetition at a time. A science-backed morning routine. Don't start your day without a plan. The first 20 to 30 minutes after you wake up, set the direction for your focus for the rest of the day. If your morning starts with scrolling, your mind is already scattered before you've even stood up. If it starts with intention, even something as simple as writing down your one priority, your focus follows that direction instead. This is not about waking up at 5 a.m. or following someone else's perfect schedule. It's about giving your morning a repeatable structure so your mind isn't reacting to chaos before the day has even started. Consistency, your weakest point, and how to fix it. In our own audience survey, the majority of people identified the exact same weak point: consistency. Not intelligence, not resources, consistency. And the fix isn't complicated, it's just unglamorous. You build order by doing small things every single day, not by doing huge things occasionally. A 5-minute journaling habit done daily will reshape your mind more than a 2-hour productivity marathon done once a month and then abandoned. Small, daily, repeated. That's the entire formula. Getting your life in order was never about one burst of motivation on a random Monday. It's about winning in small ways over your own thoughts and habits every single day. You now have a clear plan. Rescue your brain from cheap dopamine, one boring, quiet moment at a time. Build order through small, repeated micro habits, not big, unsustainable overhauls. Protect your mornings, because they set the direction for everything that follows. And treat consistency, not motivation, as the real skill you're building. This is what a real comeback looks like. Not dramatic, not overnight, but built day by day until it becomes who you are. Call to action. So tell me honestly, what's actually blocking your progress right now? Procrastination? Social media? Overthinking? Write it in the comments below. Let's bring everything we've talked about back together, because it's easy to hear 5 ideas in a row and forget how they connect. Everything in your outside life, your schedule, your goals, your unfinished projects, starts with what's happening inside your mind. And right now, for most people, what's happening inside is noise. Nearly 900 people told us the same thing. Overthinking is quietly destroying their ability to focus. And over 900 students told us the same thing in a different way. Endless scrolling is the single biggest thief of their time. These aren't isolated complaints. This is a pattern. This is what mental noise looks like at scale. And if you recognize yourself in either of those numbers, you are far from alone. So what do you actually do about it? You don't start by adding more to your life. You start by clearing space. That means letting your brain sit in boredom instead of constantly feeding it cheap dopamine through your phone. It feels uncomfortable at first, almost unnatural, but that discomfort is exactly where clarity begins to return. Boredom isn't wasted time. It's the only space your mind has left to actually think. Once that space is cleared, you don't fill it with a dramatic life overhaul. You fill it with small, almost boring, repeatable habits. A real morning routine that sets your direction before the day sets it for you, and tiny daily actions that compound quietly over weeks and months. Remember, when we asked our own audience what they most needed to improve, the answer wasn't intelligence or resources. It was consistency. And consistency isn't built through big, occasional bursts of effort. It's built through small things, repeated without exception, every single day. This is what a real comeback looks like. Not a dramatic, overnight transformation you see in a highlight reel, but a quiet, steady rebuilding. One clear thought, one small habit, one focused morning at a time, until discipline stops being something